Hi, I'm Jeff Rosenfeld. I'm editor of the Bulletin of the American Meteorological Society, and I'm with two of the luminaries of the Education Symposium that AMS has now been running for 25 years. We just celebrated the anniversary today at the Education Symposium. It's Dave Smith of the Naval Academy and now retired, right, if I'm correct, and Raj Pandya, who's with AGU, and both have been co-chairs for many, many years of the symposium. And this is sort of personal for me too, because my first AMS meeting was actually to be here for the Education Symposium, and watching the symposium grow has been part of my own growth. And I'm just wondering a little bit about what was the inspiration for a symposium like this that really focused on education?
Well, actually, the inspiration came in 1984, in which several of us attended the first international conference for what was called School and Popular Education. And as a result of about 7 of us from the United States being there, we decided the U.S. needed to get more involved in K-12 education. And the president of AMS at the time was also with National Science Foundation. He was able to put together some money to fund a couple of programs, and then that got the ball rolling. In 1990, the AMS Council put up some funds that started the AMS education program, and in 1992 we had our first symposium on education. And the primary purpose was to let the society know at large what sort of things we were doing now in terms of pre-college education. And so we had actually dual sessions, one with dealing with K-12 and the other with university and professional education. So we were able to inform AMS membership at large, this is what's going on, and soliciting their help and input in terms of the types of things that we should be doing. And so that's really how we got started.
Well, what would you say was the first sign that there was some success with this symposium, the conference?
I would say the first sign was we happened to bring 21 of the K-12 teachers who were participating in the AMS program, and we brought them, and it was the first time that pre-college teachers had attended an AMS conference, and they were showing some of the neat things that they were doing in the classroom, and it just mesmerized the research scientists when they were seeing the sorts of things that were going on. So we felt like that we had success there, and the success just kept growing.
Now you came in sort of second generation.
I did.
Dave put it. What did that mean? What did you see?
Well, it's interesting. You talked about the kind of mesmerizing the research scientists, and I think that almost describes me.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up at the Education Symposium. I was interested in education, but it was a chance to really rethink the whole approach for me about how I was doing it. The idea of using hands-on activities, and getting a chance to interact with K-12 teachers who were really creative and excited and passionate, and then taking some of those same techniques into like the college classroom where I was teaching and seeing that they worked great. It was wonderful, and I felt like I had finally found a group of people that I could feel comfortable with, and explore ideas with, and take things back to my university. So,
now, how would you say that they affected the society as a whole? I mean, AMS is obviously mostly research scientists, people who are professionals, have been there either very short time or a long term, but not many of them are aiming to be teachers first and meteorologists second. But it seems like it was an infectious moment to be there.
Very
and
much
see
so.
that spirit.
One thing would be the enthusiasm that the teachers displayed. I mean, these were the types of teachers that you want in the classroom of your children. I mean, they were very inspiring, and they were showing some very hands-on things, very simple things that would be used to explain very difficult concepts. And so that was one thing. And I think that for me personally, it really forced a change in me in terms of how I would approach the classroom. The traditional way of teaching at the college level is a professor stands up in front of the room and just lectures. And so the idea of getting the students involved, getting them to do science, so the hands-on aspect that Raj mentioned was very, very important. And that was something that I incorporated and would spread to my colleagues. And, hey, let's try something a little bit different, so that we're actually having the students engaged in what they're learning.
Yeah, and I would say that even research scientists that aren't interested in teaching, and a lot actually are. A lot really enjoy that and like that interaction. But even the ones that aren't are interested in communicating their research well. And teachers they're gifted communicators at the heart. So they were offering all kinds of practical, real-life advice about how to communicate well.
And it seems, of course, that communication is even more important now for scientists in terms of grants and other work they have to show that they're communicating. So there were several different kinds of education. You mentioned university and pre-college groups, but it seems that the education symposium, or conference, I keep saying symposium, conference, has grown beyond that sort of original mandate of teaching practices. And maybe you can explain a little bit how that's evolved, because it seems like there are diversity issues and other things that maybe the teachers brought with them into the AMS as much as the other way around.
Well, the organization within the AMS that was responsible for the oversight of this symposium was the Commission on Education and Human Resources. And some of the things that you were talking about, I think, fell under the human resources side. So, for example, diversity issues, gender equity, those are human resource issues. Getting people into the pipeline of studying these disciplines and to go on into the workforce in oceanography and meteorology. These were things that came out of the human resources side, and I think that we've really enlightened the membership at large. One of the things that we have done is every 5 years, I suppose, we look at there's a survey conducted by the Board on Women and Minorities, and so one of the things we used the symposium as a forum for getting ideas about how we were going to approach some of these issues, and so I think that became an important addition to the symposium.
And now, looking ahead, it seems like a lot of these issues are still with us, right? I mean, they haven't gone away. Teaching is still a very complicated art and science skill. And how do you see it evolving as a medium to match that evolution in education?
So I think a couple of things that we've seen start and will continue. One is this increasing thoughtful discussion about how technology can enhance teaching. Another is, I think you alluded to this, right, is teaching isn't just in the classroom anymore, it's all over the place. And students are connecting opportunities in the classroom with MOOCs, with online classes, with internships, with real-world experience, with certificate programs. And I think the Education Symposium is a great venue for thinking about both how you connect all those up to be bigger than the sum of their parts, but also how you help students, how you start to connect programmatic efforts so students can navigate that easily. Especially to get back to the equity stuff, how all students can have access to that, regardless of where they enter that system or where they start. And then I think the other sort of big trend, which is really exciting, is that there's an increasing demand for people to work at the interface of our science with all kinds of real-world applications. And the Education Symposium is grappling with how do you prepare students for that kind of dual responsibility, not just the responsibility to the science, but the responsibility to connecting that science. And that's a cool place to be.
That is in sort of the new kinds of scientific standards that are out there, even in the elementary level. There's a lot more writing about nonfiction topics and trying to engage the knowledge with practical reading and writing. And I get the feeling that there's going to be quite a legacy of that change in education. If there's a legacy that the meeting will have over the next 10, 20 years as it builds onward, what do you hope that it will really achieve, do you think? Whether you're in retirement or right in the middle of it?
Well, I think one thing is, our disciplines are very real world, and they affect people on a daily basis. So it's not just science, but it's the socioeconomic aspect. how does a huge storm affect the people of New Orleans after we've had a Category 3 hurricane? These are issues that affect everyone, and just by educating the populace at large and doing that through the K-12 teachers, for example, they're teaching the children so that they are more aware, they're more scientifically literate, and so as a result, what we can do is to get everyone up to a particular level so that they have a better understanding of what are the implications of weather or ocean events on everyday life.
Well, it's a noble cause.
Yeah.
I wish you both well, and again, congratulations on 25 years
Thank
of
you.
a great conference.
Thank you.